Welcome back to the Two Promises podcast. Let's dive right into another exciting adventure with BD and crew as he pursues his new passion of one day finding the best, most epic bourbon. The Two Promises team sends their special thanks to Hobi and the Huckleberries for that masterful theme music. So grab a glass, relax, and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth, smooth whiskey. No more wine. I like straight bourbon. Baby, you try the ride.
Thanks for tuning in, and thank you everyone who reached out regarding the passing of Hobi. He was taken from us way too soon and unexpectedly. So thank you everyone who raised a glass, cheersed, reached out, did something in his memory. And he would, being the rock star that he is, he'd want the show to go on. He'd want us to keep rocking on and to celebrate and keep the party going, right? So that's what we're going to do here. We are going to keep the party rolling, and we're going to celebrate a new milestone, a new federal holiday. Last week, Biden passed or signed for Juneteenth to be recognized as a federal holiday. While it's been celebrated since 1865, we'll get into that a little bit more. It is a great milestone achievement that now it is federally recognized and gets all of those benefits. So what is Juneteenth? Well, it's June 19th, and that is from 1865 when Union Army Major General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and told the slaves of their emancipation. It's been celebrated since 1865 at various levels, company by company, family by family, group by group. In 1980, Texas recognized it as a state holiday. Now, 41 years later, last week, it is now a federal holiday, and it is the first federal holiday to be approved since Martin Luther King Jr. Day in 1983. So now it gets national level recognition, national level celebration, and all of that. So I would like to cheers to another milestone towards equal rights, towards that progress, bringing us back to bourbon and making bourbon medicine again. So what I'd really like to talk to about that are first of all, from me, I want to talk about one thing that I've been working on practicing, trying to incorporate, learning about, and it was basically a book that was given to me by Brian in Texas as well, whenever I was passing through there on my consulting gig in Texas. And it is, I might not pronounce it right, but it's Pono, and it's the Hawaiian forgiveness ritual. So it is written by Ulrich E. Dupree. Like I said, it was a gift. It's a really small book. We'll leave some links in the description. It's less than 100 pages, super lovely read, life-changing. And so it's the act of forgiveness, right? What does it mean? Stuff like that. So, or healing. So this is a healing podcast. This podcast is about unity. It's about finding those parts of ourselves or our history or whatever that there is harm and there is resistance to progress, to growth, to whatever, and it's finding those things, healing those things so that we can be more open to dialogue, communication, to growth, to progress, to expansion, right? So for me, just like anything, I need to practice things in order to improve them. So it's something I'm trying to incorporate, so I want to share it briefly here. It's not going to go over the entire book, but it's just going to be a little snippet that I think will be really, really great here. So, and it's going to be allowing me to practice this at the same time. Quote from the book, which was a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, is, "Forgiveness is not a one-time thing. Forgiveness is a lifestyle." And Ulrich Dupree offers a very simplified technique to be easily put into practice. And it's 4 very short sentences. And a key part of this that he emphasizes is that they're more than just sentences, they're more than just the few words on the page that they should really be treated with reverence, and they should be deeply felt. They should be treated more with the significance of like a prayer or a meditation. So we'll get into those now. What are those 4 sentences? Those 4 sentences are: I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Now I'll read his descriptions of the meanings of these sentences in the context of the Hawaiian forgiveness ritual, and offer them sincerely for honestly all the harm slavery has done to humanity throughout the ages. So here: I am sorry. I apologize. I perceive that I suffer, and that connects me to my feelings. I no longer reject the problem, but recognize my learning task. I or my forebears with whom I am connected energetically, genetically, and by tradition as much by history, have caused harm. I know where I stand and feel remorse. Second sentence: please forgive me. Please forgive me for having, through myself or my forebears, consciously or unconsciously disturbed you and me in the course of our evolution. Please forgive me for having acted contrary to divine laws of harmony and love. Please forgive me for having until now judged you or the situation, and in the past disregarded our spiritual identity and connectedness. I love you. I love you, and I love myself. I see and respect the divine in you. I love and accept the situation just as it is. I love the problem that has come to me to open my eyes. I love you and myself unconditionally with all our weaknesses and faults. Thank you. Thank you for understanding that the miracle is already underway. I thank God and the angels for the transformation of my request. I give thanks because what I have received and what will come to pass is what I have deserved through the law of cause and effect. I give thanks because through the power of forgiveness I am now freed from the energetic chains of the past. I give thanks that I may recognize and join with the source of all being. So I read those straight from his book, keeping it in context of how the words were intended to be understood, and I intended them to be set out as a prayer as well. So I find that as quite a... And again, that's just 3 pages. 3 pages from this incredible little book, really easy to read, less than 100 pages. Check it out. If you found any value in that, I would pick this up. So, where else can we go from there? We can restore and honor the impacts that have been made that have not been celebrated in the way that they should be. So, I would like to do my small part in that and recognize how their cultural influence of the African Americans here have shaped the United States whiskey industry. This is a whiskey healing podcast, right? So even Jack Daniel's, their signature flavor known around the world, was crafted by Nathan Nearest Green. And Mrs. Fawn Weaver, she probably has all kinds of titles. She is definitely the CEO of various companies and philanthropic groups, but we'll talk a little bit more about her later. But she really did a deep dive into Mr. Green and his contributions. And he was an enslaved African American who taught Jack Daniel's an ancient African filtering technique from filtering liquor through a charcoal mellowing system. Now this flavor is known and enjoyed and appreciated around the world. And for more on this story, Mrs. Fawn Weaver is the lady to tell it. Incredible woman, author, entrepreneur, philanthropist. She's the CEO of Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey, which is also our whiskey of the week. So if you're toasting, if you're cheersing, if you're making bourbon medicine again, make sure you enjoy some of that Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey. And she's also the founder of the Nearest Green Foundation. So check out her works and the immense amount of value that she brings to this conversation, this dialogue. And again, I want to honor all of our African American heritage, culture, and the brothers that I served with. So I thank you all very much, and thank you for, again, being with us, and cheers to making bourbon medicine again.
Thank you for joining us today on this curious roller coaster of life. If this is your stop, please exit peacefully and enjoy the rest of your day. If you're ready for another one, just push play. A final note before you go: thank you. And thank you for feeling. The distillation and aging process is different for everyone. I'm not quite sure what you're ready for, so please sip slowly and enjoy responsibly.
Baby says she's leaving if I don't stop drinking wine. So I switched to whiskey, now I'm feeling fine. Drinking that smooth whiskey. No more